Big thanks to Into the AM for helping to support my channel. Use my coupon code RISTER or any of my affiliate links for 10% off of any order. Thanks again to Into the AM. This weekend, 2 tournaments will be going down in different parts of the world, 2 separate continents. These 2 tournaments are 95 King of Fields 4 in France and DreamHack Dallas in America. And while neither of these tournaments are majors, they're still both important tournaments that are seeing top-level talents come out to compete. Since they're going down tomorrow, this is our last chance to do a last-minute analysis of these 2 tournaments. And today's video will be dedicated to just that, analyzing the top 8 seeds and taking a look at their bracket paths. We'll begin with the larger of the 2 tournaments, King of Fields. Of course, as usual, the seeding graphics that I'm using are courtesy of Whist. Link to their Twitter, and therefore the graphics, are in the description. So without further ado, let's begin. 95 King of Fields 4, or just King of Fields, drew in 347 entrants, and is classified as a B+ tier, also known as a national. It's got tons of the top European players in it, and actually has a handful of Japanese invaders as well. In fact, one of them is the top seed. The 1 seed of King of Fields is Mia, followed closely by the 2 seed, Gluttony. Mia, one of the 4 horsemen, has a fairly standard path to top 8, needing to defeat Deox 6, Flo, and Tarek to make it there. In winners semis though, Mia has to defeat Raflo, and if you don't remember from Genesis X, Mia lost his last set with Raflo, which means that Mia has to pull off some big adaptations from the last set in order to make it into winners finals, where Mia is seeded to double eliminate Gluttony to win. Gluttony's bracket path, on the other hand, is rife with struggle matchups. Gluttony is seeded to beat OG, which should be fine, but then has to defeat both Kid and Crepe Soleil, with Me Brawler and Steve being rough for Wario, and with Crepe having a recent Gluto win at KR Banger 4. Assuming that Gluttony overcomes this though, he's seeded to beat Gact in winners semis, which I think has a pretty good chance to happen in both winners semis and losers finals. This also means that Gact, naturally, is the 3rd seed, flanked by 4th seed Raflo. Both of these players are seeded to make winners semis, but have the potential to be upset before that. Gact is seeded to fight Siski in winners quarters, and the last time they fought, it went to a game 5 last hit scenario. Not to mention, Orion could also upset Gact too. We've already mentioned that, assuming Gact makes winner semis, he's seeded to lose to Gluttony. From here, Gact has to tear through losers bracket, defeating Bloom Forever, Raflo, and then losing to Gluttony in losers finals. I think Bloom and Raflo have the potential to beat Gact, since Gact is a bit unpredictable. Raflo, on the other hand, has to defeat Bloom Forever to make top 8, which is probably the one winners quarter set that has the highest potential to go the other way. Assuming Raflo does win though, we've already covered the potential that Raflo has to beat Mia. But again, assuming he doesn't, he has to defeat Siski before losing to Gact. The 3 to 6 seeding range is fascinating, because all of them are really likely to beat each other, so it's hard to predict what'll happen. The next 2 seeds, predicted to place 5th, are Bloom Forever and Siski, and like I mentioned earlier, they have great potential to defeat the 2 players seeded above them. These players are seeded to make top 8 through losers, with Bloom Forever seeded to defeat Luigi to make top 8, where Bloom is then proceeded to defeat Tarek before losing to Gact. I think Bloom is very likely to outplace their original seeding, either by making top 8 through winners or by defeating Gact. Siski is seeded to make top 8 by defeating Rarhyor in losers bracket, and after that, Siski is seeded to beat Crepe Soleil and then lose to Raflo. But here's the thing, if Siski versus Crepe does indeed happen, I think Crepe wins that set, as Siski doesn't have the best record against Steve players. Lastly, for this top 8, we have the last 2 seeds, Crepe Soleil and Tarek. Crepe Soleil is seeded to make top 8 by defeating Andres FN, which might go the other way, but probably won't, and Tarek is seeded to defeat Leon to make top 8, which should be a safe bet. I don't have much else to say about these players other than what I've already covered with Crepe defeating Siski if they do end up fighting. There are a few players outside of the top 8 seeds who I think you should look out for. The big 3, in my opinion, are the 13th, 14th, and 15th seeds, Super Semi, Orion, and Kid, all of whom have either made huge runs lately, like Kid at KingCon, or have insane potential to make big upsets, like Orion and Super Semi. But lastly, I have a dark horse pick for you all to look out for. He's actually another Japanese player, seed number 26, Suzune, the Japanese Mewtwo. Suzune went on a massive breakout run that we've covered recently, and I just have this hunch that Suzune is going to get at least an upset or 2. My overarching predictions for King of Fields is that Mia and Gluttony will likely be in Grands, and both Raflo and Bloom will outperform their seeds. Additionally, keep an eye on Kid and Orion to make top 8. But now, it's time for us to move over to the other tournament happening this weekend, going down in the USA, DreamHack Dallas. DreamHack Dallas is drawing in 245 entrants and is being classified as a B tier, aka a super regional. The top 2 seeds at DreamHack Dallas are the 1 seed Mudes and the 2 seed Riddles. Mudes has to defeat Grayson and Jazzo to make top 8, and Jazzo actually played really well at MomoCon, so there is a chance that Jazzo makes the upset here. Assuming he doesn't, Mudes would make top 8 and is seeded to fight Lima before double eliminating Riddles. I think Lima could also upset Mudes given the matchup, but Mudes is no slouch, and has also been playing pretty well lately, so it's hard to say. Riddles, on the other hand, has to defeat Skits and Teaser, and while the Samus Kazuya matchup can be volatile, I think Riddles won't have any problems here. In top 8, Riddles has to defeat Shattuck to make it into winners finals, which is definitely up for debate. A lot of people will argue that Shattuck will win this set, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that, but we're just gonna have to wait and find out. Seeds number 3 and 4 are Shattuck and Lima, as you may have guessed. Shattuck has to defeat Johnny and MVD to make top 8, which seems like a safe bet, and Lima has to defeat Shu and Wrath. Thing is, Sonic is a really bad matchup for Bayonetta, so there's a big chance that Wrath makes the upset here. Assuming that doesn't happen though, both Shattuck and Lima are seeded to lose in winner semis, at which point they'll fight in losers bracket, where Shattuck is seeded to beat Wrath and Lima is seeded to beat MVD. Again, Snake is not the greatest matchup for Bayonetta, but it's not as bad as Sonic. At that point, Shattuck is seeded to beat Lima before losing to Riddles. The thing is, a lot of people would say that Shattuck is underseeded and should be the 1 seed, but Shattuck is coming off of a handful of underplacements. So while Shattuck could absolutely win the entire tournament, I think the order of the top 3 seeds doesn't really matter too much. The next 2 seeds, predicted to place 5th, are Wrath and MVD, and both of these players can outplace their original seeding if they match up against Lima and win that good matchup. Both players are seeded to make top 8 through losers, with Wrath needing to defeat Skeleton, which should happen given the matchup, and MVD seeded to beat Beastly, which is definitely more up in the air, but still should happen as seeded. In losers, MVD has to defeat Teaser and Wrath has to defeat Jazzo, which was grands at MomoCon just last weekend. I think both of these sets are safe bets though. The last 2 seeds of this top 8 are Teaser and Jazzo, and of all the top 8 seeds, I think Jazzo has the biggest potential to outperform their original seeding, given how good Jazzo did at MomoCon. But Teaser has also been on a dramatic come up, and either one could make an upset or 2. Teaser has to defeat Dark Wizzy to make top 8, which I think will happen, and Jazzo has to defeat Atomic, which is definitely a spicier set, but still hopefully a safe bet. And even though Jazzo getting Wrath in top 8 is a rough pull, if Wrath upsets Lima in winners like I think he will, it'll certainly be an easier time. Lastly, I don't have many non-top 8 seeds to look out for except for Yanni, the 17th seed. This is the largest tournament that Yanni has been to in a while, and don't be surprised if he just makes top 8 out of nowhere. My overarching predictions for DreamHack Dallas 2024 is that I believe one of the top 3 seeds will take the win. Jazzo will make a big run, and Wrath will also outperform the original seeding. DreamHack Dallas and King of Fields will both be tremendous tournaments, filled with upsets and spectacles, and no matter what happens at either tournament, I'll be here to cover it all. For today though, that's going to be it for today's video. Before I go, shout out to my patrons Seth Laster, Fireskull233, Logan S, Persipalm, Wawa, Mr. Sinister, Happy Feet, Ocean Man, MissyBot, and my tier 2 patrons Iltis, Diamond Blaze, and Ben L. Additionally, shout out my YouTube members Teacher Jr., Defective, Boston R, SSBU, Kirby Fan, Nexus, Loco Soko, and my tier 2 members Mike G, Wu-Tang Forever, and Stormtrooper. Also, shout out my gifted tier 2 members with their usernames Ruby Master, Crow Ruko, LBB74, and Enchanted IVE. Lastly, extra special thanks to my tier 3 supporters Fat Blizzard, who says Big Deal make it out of his slump, Avadoon, who says Mr. Rice is the ego to smash content, Iltis, who says Kaleo always comes back, and Grant I Am. If you want to support me using any of these methods, links are in the description down below. Don't forget to use my coupon code RISTER in order to get 10% off of any order from Into the AM. And lastly, I want to give one last sincere thanks to Let Me Fly for their continued support of my channel. Link to their Twitter is also in the description. Don't miss tomorrow's upload. But until then, I've been Mr. Mice, and thank you all so very much for watching.